Hi, welcome to WakeTV. I'm your host, Alice Avery. It may be cold outside, but things are heating up in Wake County, and we've got a lot of interesting stories to tell, so stay tuned. With hundreds of children in foster care across Wake County, we're always in need of families to take in foster children. As part of the recruitment effort, we've created a new series designed to show you what it's like to be a foster family in Wake County.
I became a foster parent because I kept seeing these signs everywhere I went. And so we went to an information meeting and we got a lot of information, and then we decided to go for it. I think our best moments, which we've had many of, is when we have a sick child, we get them as healthy as we can get them, and either they go to a relative who loves them immensely, or they go to an adoptive family that can be their advocates just like we have, be strong for them, be totally supportive, and put them first. And when we've been able to do that, we've done our job well. I love doing shared parenting because I want them to know I'm just like you. I'm not a millionaire, and I can take care of your kids. I can help you learn how to take care of your kids also. It's a dual process. My ultimate goal with every one of our foster children is they're my child until somebody says differently. And we treat them that way, and we support them that way, and we defend them that way to the system. They're not foster children, they're ours. And we battle for them because they need it. They need it more than a lot of normal children do because they can't speak for themselves. We have a community of people that are always at our corner. And and that's why it works. It doesn't work because we're a champion and we do it all by ourselves. We're not successful because that. We're successful because we have a support team. We don't have these kids forever, but we're a stepping stone. We call ourselves fostering the future because that's exactly what we're doing. We're fostering the future. We're giving them a future, and then somebody takes it from there. We get them through the crises, and hopefully we get them through most of the crises, and then they move into whatever environment comes next. When we've done our loving correctly, you get both worlds. You watch them be happy, and you don't dwell in it. There's someone else that needs your strength, always. Because there are too few foster parents, there are too few medically fragile foster parents. And what happens to these kids if we're not there? I'm a foster parent.
I'm a foster parent.
I'm a foster parent.
I am a foster parent, and you can be too.
Each year between October and March, the Warmth for Wake program brings volunteers together who chop up firewood and deliver it to those who need it most all over the county. Weather permitting, volunteers meet every other Saturday throughout the winter to chop and deliver firewood. In addition to firewood delivery, Warmth for Wake also distributes new and gently used space heaters to residents in need. If you'd like to learn more about how you can help, please visit the website on your screen. Since 2009, the Happy Trails program has turned thousands of Christmas trees into mulch for many of the trails in Wake County's parks. We encourage residents to recycle their Christmas trees by bringing them to one of the 8 convenient locations around the county for chipping. In 2017 alone, the Happy Trails program received 5,242 trees, which were turned into more than 105 tons of mulch.
A tree is full of life. We cut it down, we use it for 6 weeks, and then we throw it, and what are we gonna do with it? Well, you can either take it to a landfill and bury it, you can throw it in a pond and make it a fish habitat, or you can bring it to us, we'll chip it, and we'll put it down and use it as trail lay, and hopefully those nutrients will grow other trees.
If you would like to donate your tree to the Happy Trails program at the end of this year's holiday season, Please remove all decorations and bring the tree to one of the 8 locations on your screen by Sunday, January 27th.
Hi, I'm Alice Avery, and we're here at the brand new Eastern Wake EMS station, Wendell, Maine, to talk to Jeff Hammerstein with Wake County EMS. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Great. So what can you tell us about this brand new facility?
So it was a much needed facility. Eastern Wake had been serving out of the station, the previous station, for a number of years. It was previously Wendell Rescue Squad before the merger in 2005 that brought us Eastern Wake EMS. They operated out of a building that was actually built in the early 70s and of course served the Wendell community for very proudly for many years. They've grown, they've gotten larger, busier, and it was definitely past time to get a new facility opened, and this is where we are.
So what kind of features does this building have that the previous building lacked?
Well, a couple of things. There's a little bit more bay space. It's a new, clean, more efficient facility for them to operate out of, which is good. The way we operate EMS has changed over the decades, and this building, the layout of this building is a little bit better suited than their original building. The other thing that it does for us is puts the station on a little bit larger thoroughfare. The way EMS operates now, it's not just a small district, but rather a responsibility for covering larger communities and larger regions. So there are ambulances that are kind of coming and going across the region, and by being out of this station, they're able to access some of the major roads a little bit more easily and get to some of those places more efficiently.
So when the paramedics and EMTs aren't out on a call, how many people are based here and how many ambulances are here on a regular basis?
So for now, that would typically be one ambulance unit with a staff of 2, sometimes 3, and then also a district chief operating out of here. So the district chief has an office and then base space, of course. In addition, there's now room to put a spare ambulance that can be used as a backup if there's a vehicle failure, which happens on occasion. And then certainly they can use that to up staff and cover a special event in the community and that type of thing.
So we all know that Wake County is growing and it continues to grow. What are Wake County EMS's plans as we go forward?
So we are constantly looking at growth, like so many different resources need to. As we see that, we know that this is part of the county that continues to grow, like a lot of parts. And so there are plans in place to figure out where resources are going to be needed and making plans to build new facilities so that we can accommodate that growth, ever growing and changing.
So what is the most important thing about this new station for Eastern Wake EMS?
I would say, Alice, it's about having a new, efficient facility that houses them appropriately and gives them the space that they need in an area that they need, in a building that can really be proud of and take a lot of pride in and take good care of.
How do the employees who work here feel about this new station?
I think they're pretty excited about it. They have a lot of pride in this facility. They're working really hard and taking good care of it. They're so happy to be in this new efficient place and making it a home for them, and they're proud to be here.
Great. Well, it looks great, so thanks for taking the time to tell us about it today.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out.
We want cake! We want cake! We want cake! We want cake!
You remembered to get the cake, right?
I thought you were getting the cake.
We want cake!
What? No cake?
Things are better when you plan. Learn more about what we're planning at planwake.org.
With today's episode, we're excited to kick off a new segment called What's Happening in Wake, where we sit down with important people throughout the county to talk about their initiatives and priorities. Here's Dara with our first guest.
Thank you, Alice. One of the major priorities for the Wake County Board of Commissioners has been expanding and maintaining our supply of affordable housing. And I'm very excited today to be joined by Lorena McDowell. She is our new head of our brand new housing department. Welcome to Wake County, Lorena.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, since you are new, give us a sense of your background and what your involvement has been in affordable housing.
Sure. So I've been involved in housing in really all 3 sectors, public, private, nonprofit, in some way, shape, or form. Most recently, before I came here, I was in Northern Virginia. And there I worked for a really great nonprofit, Northern Virginia Family Service, and NVFS is the largest human services agency in Northern Virginia, and so they do a little bit of everything. And I came to them as their Director of Homeless Services, and within about a year I moved to Vice President of Programs. So I got to touch everything: housing, homeless services, workforce development, all the things that touch really what, makes housing affordable, jobs and health and all those things, all the different social determinants of health. So that was a lot of fun. Prior to that, I was in Atlanta, and I worked for then Mayor Kasim Reed, and I led the continuum of care for Atlanta for some years when the city was the collaborative applicant. And then we raised a nonprofit, which I helped them do, and then transitioned it on to them before we moved to Northern Virginia. And prior to that, I was in a lot of community work in Minnesota, my hometown, the Twin Cities, all over Hennepin County, Ramsey County, so I did a lot of work there. I've done consulting sort of on the side for some years as well. In the same vein, I, in my former life, as I like to say, was also in real estate. So I've been involved in housing for quite some time.
So this is what you know and this is what you do.
Absolutely.
And we are very lucky to have you here. So what was it when you were looking at the job description that really stood out to you and you said, gosh, I want that position. I could really do some good there?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, Wake County was clearly already thinking about how to get ahead of things, which is rare in this work. And many times in many positions I've come in where things have already deteriorated to a point where it's, emergency, fix it. So although this is a serious need across Wake County, given the rate that it's growing, Wake County and the commissioners decided to really be, ahead of the game. County Manager Ellis and the commissioners decided to put forth, this new tax and this money in order to support affordable housing. And so that was really cool to sort of come in and be ahead of the game. You also never in government get the opportunity to come in and build a new department. That's rare, right? That's kind of the dream for someone like me who does this and only wants to do this work forever. To be able to come in and build my own team and build the department and work really closely with the commissioners and the community to really make this what works best for the county and the people who live here. So that was really exciting for me. Then there's Raleigh. It doesn't get much better than Raleigh.
That's right. Well, we are so glad that you chose to make your forever home here in Raleigh and be part of Wake County. Just sitting here, you get the energy from you. I can feel your passion in this room, and I'm sure the folks at home probably can too. Where does that come from? What makes you so committed to this issue?
Thank you. I am passionate, and I appreciate you picking up on that, actually. I've experienced housing instability throughout many different points throughout my life. As a youth, I spent time briefly in and out of shelters. I spent time in group homes. Our family went through trauma as well, as a lot of families do across the nation. We were not immune to that. So I experienced what it's like to worry about where you're going to lay your head or what the future might hold because of your current situation. And I think I determined really young, going through some of that I was going to, grow up and make a difference and make it better somehow. And I was idealistic as a youth, and things happened as I grew up, and I had to get into other, forms of work to pay my bills.
Sure,
so that's how real estate happened, But when I was doing real estate, I think I realized, sort of all in one day that wasn't what I said I was going to do. I was selling people houses that honestly back then they probably couldn't afford. This is before the, crash. And I sort of just decided I can continue to sell homes to people that they may not be able to afford, or I can make sure everybody has an affordable home, which is getting back to my original goal that I said I was going to do when I was that kid with big dreams. And I just kind of up and did it one day. I went back to school to collect the education that I would need to do this work really well for communities, and I have never looked back.
Wow.
And I've loved it ever since.
That is so inspiring. Well, we are glad that you've taken that emotion and that passion and that drive and brought it here. So using that, how are you going to build upon it for the next 6 months to a year for your new department? I know you have a lot of things to do and a lot of projects. So what are some of the key milestones that we would expect you to take on over the next couple of months?
Well, manage expectations. There are great expectations for this new department and for all these new funds, and rightfully so. We are going to be able to do some really great things for the community. But there's a lot to do to build a new department. The department didn't exist until my first day. I showed up and boom, there's a housing department. It was a division under Human Services before, and they did a lot of great work. They laid a lot of great groundwork. They did great studies on what the community would need. And so, my charge now is to, one, build the department, so put in the infrastructure that we need to support these programs we're talking about building and these services, get the leadership in place. We have identified 3 distinct divisions that will be under this department. So we clearly have affordable housing. Right. We also clearly have permanent housing and supportive services. And we also have homelessness. So I'll be working to sort of figure out how those divisions are going to function together, how we're going to flow within, the county and the community. So that's a lot of what we're doing right now. So getting the infrastructure together is the first charge. And then also, the next really important thing for me is making sure that we are talking to the community. Wake County has a dozen different municipalities, right? And they all have different ideas of what affordable housing needs are, what it means. And I think it's really important that before we do anything with these dollars that are for the county as a whole, that we really get out in the community and learn what's needed in the different communities. What their constituents want, what their desires are, what resources they have, how we can leverage each other and really build those relationships first. And once we understand what everyone needs, then I'll be able to really put a plan in place for how we're going to move forward with these dollars and over the next 20 years or so that we have with them to make this housing affordable across Wake County. So that is the charge right now. And also, of course, getting to know the commissioners here at Wake County and what their needs are, what their ideas are, what they want to see. So that is the next 6 months. We'll start building out programs from there.
So even though the housing department is a new department to the county on its own, it did exist previously. It was a part of our human services department. So explain how that transition is working.
Sure. Well, with the new tax dollars and all the new programs that we have to create across the county in the new 20-year plan, that is a much heavier lift than I think the small division that was under human services before could handle. So that is where the new department came to be. And I am really lucky. I got about 70 individuals that came over from human services previously as that division to be, the beginning of this new department. And they are, I've just started really getting around to meet everyone. And I think I've gotten a chance to meet almost everyone at this point. And they are some of the most dedicated, hardworking people that I think I've come into a community and met just, that easily. I'm grateful that I was sort of handed this group of really hardworking people. They are absolutely dedicated to work they do and to the community. And so it's been really great. And so we'll continue to work with them to build out the new department, help everyone find their place, and then just work together as a team to make this work.
Well, I know it is a lot of work, but something obviously that is much needed here, and I'm sure that you're going to have lots of cheerleaders along the way, from the board members to the municipalities to the public to your colleagues. So a lot of support there for what you're doing.
So far, absolutely.
Well, good.
It's been great.
Very good. So I think interestingly, there's a perception maybe in the public among some who don't really understand what affordable housing is, and they think maybe it's just for that homeless section of people in our community, which we certainly have, even though we're growing. As we grow, there are people of all strata within, the economic range. So help us kind of right some of those perceptions.
Sure, that is a common misconception. And to be clear, we all need affordable housing, no matter your income bracket, right?
Right.
Just that some of us are lucky enough to not have to be concerned about paying for our mortgage or rent, but we still need it to be affordable within wherever our range is, right?
Of course.
But the vast majority of Americans right now are struggling with that. And most people are struggling to keep their housing costs below 30% of their income. That's affordable housing. If it's anything more than that, it's not affordable. And I think a lot of people would be surprised if they did their math that they actually need affordable housing under those numbers as well, that they spend more than 30% of their income on housing. They may not realize that's not a good thing.
Right.
That could put them into a really bad situation. All of us are nothing more than probably, well, a lot of us, a paycheck or two away, right, from really needing a lot of services. So affordable housing is for everyone, full stop. But it's for, your neighbors. It's for the people at your church. It's for the people you work with, who sit in the cubicle next to you or down the hall. This is not, housing created for, and this is what I think a lot of people think, right? Affordable housing means we're going to create a space for people who are really impoverished to come in our communities and completely change, the dynamic of the demographic there. And that's not the truth. The truth is people are already there who need the support. And if we don't support them, they will end up homeless or having to leave the community they know, their children know, in order to be able to afford to keep a roof over their head. And that isn't right. And so our goal is to create a space so that everyone can afford to live where they choose to live. And it doesn't have to change the community greatly, and likely it really won't. Also I think, workforce housing is a big deal right now. I don't think people realize that, a lot of people don't realize that, if you are a teacher, if you are a policeman or fireman, you're probably on that verge of being able to maybe not afford your housing if you live in a lot of the areas across Wake County, because as we all know, the cost of living continues to rise and wages are stagnant. And people who used to be able to close that gap just can't do it anymore.
Right.
And I personally would like for the people who teach my children to live in that community. I would personally like for the people who police my community to live in that community, and so on and so forth. And so affordable housing helps us to do that. And so that is affordable housing.
Sure, and we need some of these folks who are in these traditionally maybe more blue-collar jobs to be able to support the needs of the community. And if they can't get to those service-related industry jobs or, hospitality industry jobs, then we have a void in our community, right?
We do, and then, the weight then is onto the businesses as well. So you have to keep in mind that if we don't get ahead of it, there are other ripple effects that happen. So if the businesses can't afford to pay a wage high enough to keep people in that area to work for them, well, what do the businesses do? They either have to decide to spend more money they may not be able to afford to keep their staff, or they have to go elsewhere. And we all like having a Starbucks around the corner and a Target around the corner and all these great services near us. And so we need to make sure that the businesses can afford to stay there, and that means making sure that their workforce can afford to live near the area they're working.
So if anybody is watching this and they say, gosh, I fit right into that group. I work at the Starbucks or I work at the Target, and man, I am trying to stretch my paycheck. What can they do? Should they call your department, or what are the steps that they should take?
They can. You can find us through the Wake County website. I think a lot of people currently come to us through Human Services, since this department was a division under Human Services before. And so a lot of times people will work with Human Services, and either they'll come to it on their own, they need help with housing, or the staff they're working with there will say, do you know you're spending this much on your housing? And if we could fix that, then maybe you wouldn't need these other services. And so they'll come to us that way. 2-on-1 is also a great resource as well. So you can come to us a variety of ways. We will work as we build the department out to streamline that a bit, so there'll be more of a one-stop, hey, call us, we'll figure out where you need to go. We're not there yet. We're 1 month in. But we'll work towards that as well. But there are a variety of ways. We're easy to find and access as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think wonderful things are on the horizon for you and your team. You've got a great group over there with the housing department, and I know this community is going to really benefit from all that you all are going to do and all you've already done in your first month. So thank you for joining us for our segment on Wake TV today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime.
Each year between October and March, the Warmth for Wake program brings volunteers together who chop up firewood and deliver it to those who need it most, all over the county. Weather permitting, volunteers meet every other Saturday throughout the winter to chop and deliver firewood. In addition to firewood delivery, Warmth for Wake also distributes new and gently used space heaters to residents in need. If you'd like to learn more about how you can help, please visit the website on your screen. Since 2009, the Happy Trails program has turned thousands of Christmas trees into mulch for many of the trails in Wake County's parks. We encourage residents to recycle their Christmas trees by bringing them to one of the 8 convenient locations around the county for chipping. In 2017 alone, the Happy Trails program received 5,242 trees, which were turned into more than 105 tons of mulch.
A tree is full of life. We cut it down, we use it for 6 weeks, and then we throw it, and what are we gonna do with it? Well, you can either take it to a landfill and bury it, you can throw it in a pond and make it a fish habitat, or you can bring it to us, we'll chip it, and we'll put it down and use it as trail lay, and hopefully those nutrients will grow other trees.
If you would like to donate your tree to the Happy Trails program at the end of this year's holiday season, please remove all decorations and bring the tree to one of the 8 locations on your screen by Sunday, January 27th.
Is your fridge overflowing with leftovers after the holiday season? Don't just throw them out. Here's Jen with a better solution. So today we're going to be talking about Wake County's food waste recycling program. So I'm here today with Bianca Howard from Wake County Solid Waste Division. We are actually at Convenience Center Site 10 in Knightdale, one of the many sites for our food waste recycling program. So Bianca, thanks for coming out here today with us.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, can you explain to us what the food waste recycling program is?
Well, Wake County started the first multi-site food waste recycling program in North Carolina. Back in August of 2015, we launched the program right here at this site in Knightdale. What it does is it helps residents divert waste from the landfill by bringing us their unwanted food. We work with the local food waste hauler to turn that into valuable compost.
Wonderful. So what types of things can people bring here? Can they bring any food that they have lying around the house?
The beauty of this program is that the waste we collect goes to a commercial composting site. That means we can accept any type of food except raw meat.
Okay, so no raw meat, but even like leftover cooked hamburger, leftover steak, any sort of meat can be accepted.
Absolutely. And we can accept some things in our program that people might not want to compost in their own home compost piles. For example, dairy products and greasy or oily foods are okay to put in our carts, even though people would not want to compost those in their own backyards.
Okay, so how does this work? People just bring their stuff here and then they can just drop it off in these carts?
Absolutely. Yeah. Right now our program is at only 4 of our 11 convenience centers, but those centers are open 7 days a week. So when residents are coming to bring garbage or recycling, they can also bring us their unwanted food from their homes. Once a week, a commercial food waste hauler comes and empties the carts and lines them with fresh bags to get them ready for the next round of food waste that comes in.
Okay. So if somebody wants to start recycling their food waste, what are some things that they should do? How should they prepare their food?
Well, absolutely. If they want to understand what kinds of food waste we can accept, they should visit our website, wakegov.com/recycling. We've got examples of all of the things we accept. And it's not just food, but also paper waste, such as napkins and paper plates. They can bring us their waste in a reusable container, such as this one. Okay. They can even bring it in the package as long as they empty it out when they get here. Okay. Once they arrive at the sites, they'll see that the carts are locked, but all they need to do is ask one of our site attendants for a key, and they'll be happy to walk over and unlock it for them.
Okay, great. And you said that they're open 7 days a week. Any particular hours that people can come by?
Our convenience centers are usually open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Our food waste carts are accessible at the 4 sites during the hours the convenience centers are open.
Okay. And what are the 4 sites that we have these containers at?
Currently, we accept food waste at site number 10, where we are today in Knightdale. Okay. We also take it at site number 7, which is off DePony Drive in North Raleigh. Okay. A third site is site number 4, which is off Yates Mill Pond Road in Southwest Raleigh. And our 4th site is actually up in Wake Forest. Okay. That's Convenience Center Site 8.
Okay. So what are some things that people can recycle here that they wouldn't normally think about?
One of the most popular items we see at site number 8 in Wake Forest is pizza boxes.
Oh, okay.
Our program is not just for pizza boxes, but we're happy to take pizza boxes and to compost them. We also encourage people to bring us leftovers from preparing foods, such as vegetable peels and apple cores. Yeah. We can also accept food that's gone bad. Maybe things that have spoiled or gotten moldy before you had a chance to enjoy them.
Great. So what's a way for people to learn more about the food waste recycling program?
The best way to learn about our food waste recycling program is to visit our website, wakegov.com/recycling.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for everything that your team does, and thank you for having us out here today and teaching us more about food waste recycling.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode of Wake TV. Keep up with all the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at wakegov.com/news, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube so you can always stay in the loop. We'll see you next time.